Hey guys, what's going on? It's Graham Morrison here. I am here with Tommy Doman today. We're going to talk a little bit about football, a little bit about life, and what's going on in the Michigan season. Thanks for joining me, man. Really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
So, we'll start kind of where you grew up. You grew up in West Bloomfield. Was it always a dream for you to end up playing here at Michigan, or did it just come about?
Yeah, it was definitely a dream to play here. I mean, when you're sitting at home, when you're younger and like watching college football, oh, I want to play there, I want to play Texas, I want to play USC, Miami, Michigan, like all those big schools.
Right.
But you know, like there is that hometown draw
Yeah.
that is here, and like you actually come to the place, you see the big house, you see like even this field house, like
Right.
just a different draw. It's been a dream to play here, and I'm just so happy that I can kind of live that out.
So, what was the difference maker like when you visited Michigan that just set it over the top for you and made you say, yeah, this is the place I want to be?
I'd say it's just like kind of repeated visits all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
being close by, it's easy to just kind of visit here. I think at the time I set like the record for like most visits. I think I visited like 13 times or something. But I came here for like a kicking camp in 7th grade.
Nice.
And just every single year after that, just kind of like you're used to it here, and then maybe go somewhere else for a vacation, like to go visit somewhere else. Like, okay, that's a vacation. That's
So
not
it
like
felt
home.
comfortable.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It's kind of like the other places. Like, all right, great to be there for like a weekend, but like this is where you want to be like every day.
That's awesome. So, I assume that you grew up loving the game. You always had one player or person that you looked up to more than the rest. For me, it was Brett Favre. A huge Brett Favre fan. So, who was your guy that you looked up to, and how did what you drew from them kind of turn you into the person that you are today, or the teammate that you are today?
I'd say, I mean, every like punter starts out wanting to be a kicker. So I mean, Justin Tucker was like obviously like one of my favorites. I kind of like modeled my swing after him a little bit.
Right.
But kind of as I grew older, I started to kind of study. His name's Jake Camarda. He's the punter for the Buccaneers now, but he's only like 4 years older than me. And I kind of modeled my whole like punting swing after him.
Nice.
And like I finally got to meet him at the Orange Bowl. Like we lost, it was like after the game, but like just being able to like pick his brain a little bit and just kind of see his mentality with different stuff, and that kind of shaped me into more of like an athletic punter. Like that's how he swings. Like he has a crazy fast leg. He's more of an athletic guy. I think he ran like the 4.6s at the combine or something. So just like not just being a specialist, but being an athlete that just happens to
Right.
punt.
And there's so many different styles of kicking now. Like I feel like when I was a kid, there was one style. You catch the ball and you kick. Now you got the guys that are coming from Australia, the more rugby style. You got, like you said, the athletic punters. It's like the game of kicking has expanded so much, and it's awesome. So you said that every punter starts out wanting to be a kicker. Now,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. I want to get this right here. You went to Orchard Lake St. Mary's Prep, and that's where you played your high school ball, right? You hold the record for a 50-yard field goal and 53-yard field goal, which are the longest two in school history. How did you end up transitioning to becoming a punter when you got to Michigan? What led to that?
Yeah, so I was cowboying the past 2 years, like backing up Jake and Brad is kind of like what I've been doing. Like how throughout the whole recruiting process, my parents were like, you don't want to leave any stone unturned. Like you want to add value any way you can. And like what if, because schools, like not every school needs a specialist every year, especially on scholarship. So it's like if you're a kicker and a punter, that opens you up to more scholarships and different places that you could play. So I think just adding any value like the way I can. But I mean, kicking field goals is fun. You put up points on the board, people like give you high fives, and punting, it's like, all right, our offense didn't do it, like you go out there. But I think the transition happened just with my frame. I'm more of a punting frame. Like my natural swing is more of a punting swing. That's like the interesting part. Like you said, there's different styles of kicking.
Yeah.
It's all like soccer style, but like everyone's got like a different approach to it. I mean, you got guys that are like really long, elegant swings. You got guys that are more punchy, like Matt Prater, but like has great pop, and like he's not. I mean, he's older now, so he's not like the most flexible guy in the world. Like Harrison Butker, you'll see, he's like fully like all the way over, like head back. Like if you ever look at a picture, he's like 6'6".
Yeah.
And he's only like 190 or something, so he's like really skinny but really long. But yeah, just like the way, like height, weight, like it's not cookie cutter, so you can take away certain concepts from people.
Nice.
So, but that natural swing, it was just easier for me just to be a punter, and like I was thinking about doing all three, and then I was talking with like our coaches, and like it'd just be better for our team, and like I'm just here like again add value and like help our team in any way possible. So just what is it? Like, just being good at 2 instead of just like maybe a little shaky or inconsistent at 3, because they're all different swings, like kickoff, field goal, punt, like they're all different things, and just it's taxing on your leg, your hip flexors, everything like that.
And I mean, you've done a great job with what you've been tasked with, so I'd say you made the right decision.
Thank you.
Now, obviously, a lot of kids grow up dreaming of playing for Michigan, Texas, USC, those big brands, like you said. You get to put on the winged helmet every week. What does the wings mean to you, and how special does that feel when you get to put them on?
Yeah, so at first, I mean, being from Michigan, like you see a lot of winged helmets, so it kind of like doesn't really settle in until like you actually get the real helmet. Because you'll go on visits, you're like, oh, like this high school or that high school has it, but like when you actually every single day you're putting it on, it's kind of like you're loading up NCAA like football 14 every single time like you put on the helmet. It's actually really cool. But my favorite's like game days, especially. You walk into like the historic locker room. It's not very flashy, but like like the people that have been there before you.
Right.
So like them putting on like actual like game uniform, helmet, like the helmet's the last thing you put on, so it's just like you got all those things going. Got the helmet, then you run down the tunnel. It's just it just feels like you load into a video game every time.
That's
or just
awesome.
like you're on the couch watching football every time.
Right. So you're part of a class that's had a lot of success on the field. And you yourself are a 2-time academic All Big Ten honoree. So what approach do you take off the field to have the similar success that you've had on the field when you're in the classroom or out in the community trying to make a difference? What approach are you taking to that version of yourself compared to the version that's had so much success on the field?
I'd say it started with like our older guys my freshman year. Kind of you see like come off of COVID, and you kind of like the Michigan brand was kind of not as high valued as it is now. Like we kind of brought it back to where it should be.
Yeah.
So just kind of not having any sort of entitlement, realizing that, I mean, you meet so many like great people or so many like cool guys like on the field, playing against some on your own team. Like I played with like Aiden Hutchinson and Jabo. I mean, JJ's building a name for himself. Blake Corum, like Zach Zinner, all these like big names, and like spending so much time with them, you realize that they're just normal guys, and like you just see how them work every single day. It's just like these big name guys like don't do anything different than like maybe you've like heard about NFL guys when you were younger as a kid. Like hard work does translate to success. Yeah. Because you're able to go out there and just play natural and just you play to your preparation. And I think that's just like the approach that I've taken and kind of followed with the older guys, even get guys in my class that have played. Like I didn't have as much experience as JJ, Dono, like Junior, all those guys. So just following their lead and like remembering their progression about how they just kind of leaving the ego at the door and just working and just not like getting rid of that process that you had in high school to be as good as you were. It obviously changes, obviously different, but just being humble and just doing what you need to do so you feel comfortable to perform, and just when you go out there, just don't make anything too complicated.
It's awesome. Yeah. If you don't walk in every day and stay humble, don't try to look into the future and say, oh yeah, I'm going to be a Hall of Famer, I'm going to do this, and get too big for where you're at. I've found that a lot of people that have incredible talent waste that talent because they're looking forward to what they're going to be instead of living in what they're in right now. And it sounds like you guys have a great process in place so where that's something you're all focused on. You're focused on the dedication to what's happening in life right now and not looking to the future. So back to more what's happening on the field. I joked around with you earlier this year. I sent you a message and I just asked if we should change you to a kickoff specialist instead of a punter. How did your preparation change this year when you're going into a game wondering if you might not kick that week at all as far as a punter because the defense and offense were so unstoppable for that long stretch there to start the season?
Yeah, just being ready for all of it. I mean, regardless, you might be needed next week, or maybe you're up by 56 and like last second, like maybe the threes are in and they don't necessarily score, so you got to punt it. So just always being ready and just, especially beginning of the year, not having a lot of playing experience. Yeah. Just treating that like it's Ohio State, like it's Big Ten championship. Like your process doesn't change no matter who you're playing. I think heading into in between Penn State and Ohio State, that was like my biggest learning curve. Is like you're going into a big game thinking, okay, now I'm gonna turn up an extra notch. I'm gonna work a little extra hard. Like, no, it's just the staying at the same process you've been doing is what's good. What made you successful and is what's going to continue making you successful. So just not really thinking about it too much. I mean, yeah, I think about it sometimes. I see like the P. Mahomes and the Brennan Colquitt, like game ball. He's like, I didn't have to punt today. I didn't have to do anything but hold. So just like shake his hand saying thank you. I thought it was gonna happen, but I mean, game happens weird. I mean, football is not a circle. It's an oval or whatever you want to call it. Like ball bounces weird. Stuff happens. You got to punt it.
Right. So on the topic of punting, humor me with this. I've asked you before, but there's different kind of punts, which I didn't know. I thought you just squared up and kicked it. So tell everybody, like, break down the different types of punts and then which one's your favorite and why.
So I'd have to say, I mean, it's easy, like, kind of classifying what punts to hit. I mean, you figure out situation in the game is the first one that I look at. Just kind of seeing, like, where we're at on the field, like, left, right, wind, all that stuff. And then you kind of can assess what you can use, and depending on the different, like, temperature or wind is like kind of, you can stretch the barriers. So like Nebraska, we had 30 miles an hour, it's like 95 degrees. You can hit a coffin punt from your own 30, which is probably what I should have done. I hit my favorite ball. So my favorite ball is it's just a high hanging spiral.
Yeah.
I've hit it 3 times this year. Twice it didn't work, and one time it did. And the one time it did was Ohio State, so it kind of worked out. But
that's a good time to make it work.
Oh, it's my favorite punt by far, because you hold the ball really high, and you like sit back and you just swing as hard as you possibly can, and the ball just goes super high. And if you hit it just right, it's just this nice high, like it's a slow turn and just kind of sits and like wiggles down. So it just you kind of get to sit there and appreciate your work for a long time. So that's my favorite, because you're sitting it. It's like you can see a lot of vision of the ball. So
that's awesome.
But you can definitely have different ball flights, different rotations. It just depends on the situation, especially in the Big Ten. We got a lot of different wind. We got a lot of different like precipitation. We had a rainy game against Indiana. Like those dictate what type of rotation or spin that you want to do.
And when you think about it, when you're looking at week 1, it's probably going to be 75 degrees. When you get to week 12, 13, you're playing in the cold, man. It's brutal.
It is. It kind of hurts a little bit, because you see guys like maybe that play in like the warm, like they have so many more clubs in their bag that they can play with. Mine is just kind of just set the ball down and try to hit a low spiral that cuts through the wind and swing as hard as you can, and just kind of pray it goes well.
Sounds like you're made to be a Green Bay Packer. That's what I'm hearing. You're coming to Lambeau.
I don't care, man. Any opportunity. But I think I have a lot of respect for those guys that play in those cold weather NFL teams, because I mean, you saw that one like divisional game the Packers had against the 49ers, like snowing, cold, like the ground is frozen. Just a lot of respect for those guys. I mean, it's hard. I mean, we don't wear gloves, and it's not like we catch. I mean, we can catch jugs, but like, it's just different, you know. Just that's like, because you have to like mold it different ways. Like you have to catch it palms up. You can't catch it like this, because if you catch like this, it takes more time to flip, and then you have to set your hands. Like there's a lot of different processes where it's like you have to get it all done within like 1.2 seconds.
Right, and nobody sees all the stuff that goes into it either. They just know that you kicked the ball.
You just catch it and kick it. It's just like, it's not like that. Like there's so many more different things that go into it. Like it's like catch, find the laces, spin. All right, find like where my hands go on the ball. Then actually set it to the right spot on your leg. And then the right height, right nose. Like there's so many different things that all happen so fast.
Right.
So that's like, if you ever see like punters on the sideline just like dropping the ball, they're just figuring out where it's gonna go, and because it's a moving object, so you gotta know where it's gonna be.
I've never even considered that part of being a punter. The fact that you practice your drop and like even have to think about
thousands of times. That like if you've tallied up as many drops I've done since like 4th grade, it might be almost close to 1 million. Like
I have a 2-year-old at home. Should I start having him drop footballs now, or should I wait?
I'd start him being a kicker first, because you gotta bait him into it. And I was like, oh, I want to be a punter. No, you gotta bait him into it. So, oh, you can be a field goal kicker. Oh, that's cool. Like in between the poles, all that stuff. And then if they're more of a vertical swinger instead of a cross swinger, then you're like, all right, you're a punter.
So, no Michigan team has ever started 13-0 2 years in a row. You guys have, and you did it facing a level of adversity that really not many programs in the history of the sport have had to face. You guys won 6 games this year without your head coach. What was it like as a team sticking together through all the adversity and then coming out on top?
I think it was definitely something you can't prepare for. I think it happened in the beginning of the season. Know it's going to happen a little bit. I mean, coach is pretty transparent with us. Like as soon as that first suspension happened, like we had a team meeting immediately before even the media knew. He's like, all right, so like this was going to happen. like Coach Moore's got this game, Coach Minter's got this game, Coach Jay's got this game, and like we knew. And I think the way like our strength coach teaches us to handle anything, like handling adversity is just like a very universal thing in sports, football especially.
Yeah.
So I think he, like the way he says, he's like, all right, I don't care what we're doing. Like we don't know the lifts, we don't know anything. Like we don't really know our schedules super far in advance. So it's like most of the stuff we do is kind of just whatever's right in front of us is what matters. I think that like little concept, you can see how that translates on the big stage, like Penn State, Ohio State, like not having your head coach, like, all right, cool. Right. Like we're just gonna do what we normally do and nothing's gonna change. Obviously, like the coaches are gonna put us in a good situation to succeed. So we're just gonna focus on our job, which is playing and just kind of taking the coaching and trying to win the ball game. So I think it just coming out on top is just kind of adds a nice little detail that you can tell your kids, you know.
And obviously, you guys have one of the best coaching staffs on the planet, if not the best. It's just a great group of guys. But I would also argue that this is one of the most player-led teams out there, and it has been that way since COVID ended. It started with Aiden and those guys, and then it built with Blake and the guys last year, and then all coming back again. How much has that played into the success, knowing that you guys can take one of our coaches away, but we still have the best core around the nation?
Yeah, I think it comes down to just like self-accountability. I mean, if the coaches don't have to, like, that's when like good teams come great. I mean, you know that. It just once like the players start taking initiative, they start doing extra work. They start asking the coaches and doing extra time in the film room and everything like that. So it just, I think that ties into a big piece of just tightening everything down. And like especially with, like a great example is our defense. Yeah. Like our defense is very well versed in every principle, every coaching point. They add in a new scheme, they know it. Like just being well versed in what you like need to know so that you can go out there, like I said, play naturally. I think is the biggest part because you're very prepared and you know what's going on.
Yeah. So there's 3 things that every kid that comes to Michigan wants to accomplish: beat Ohio State, win the Big Ten championship, take home the big one, win the national championship. Your group of guys has beat Ohio State now 3 times. You've won 3 Big Ten championships in a row. What does it mean to you guys to get to go to the Rose Bowl and play for a chance to take home the big one, the national championship?
It kind of feels like it's been building to this. I mean, you accomplish those things, they're great. Obviously, it's like when they haven't happened yet, that's the #1 priority. But you get them done, and it's like we understand the like expectations of this program, and just taking those one game at a time. And now it's like, all right, this is the time to actually fulfill those expectations. And it being in the Rose Bowl, I mean, the past 2 years, the CFP hasn't gone the way we wanted, but I feel like we're trending in the right direction. Like we know, we've learned from each one. Like the first one, all right, like it's less excitement, and it's just like, all right, that's just a normal game. Last one is just ball didn't bounce our way, certain things didn't happen, but like the intent to win and just ignoring like the bowl festivities or just like the glamour of the CFP, just like understanding that, like, I mean, you saw like, I mean, we lost, but like TCU like came in like very fancy outfits, and like we came in like our sweatpants, like workwear and stuff like that. Like we're about our business, especially on that stage, and just being in Pasadena, Rose Bowl. I mean, Michigan hasn't been to a Rose Bowl since what, like 1997? Yeah. So it's been building to this, you know. I feel like we're just taking it one day at a time. I mean, you asked me, are you guys excited to go to Pasadena? I'm like, most of us don't even realize that we're going to Pasadena yet. I mean, it's just like one day at a time, just doing everything we can each day. I mean, that's all you can do. It's kind of cliche, but it's all you can do.
Right. So does your preparation change at all from your normal schedule? Maybe you get a bye week in there. Now you have Big Ten championship to Rose Bowl. There's a full month gap. Does that change at all the way that you prepare for these games, or how does that work when you have a full month to prepare for one game, one contest?
I think it kind of lets you like settle into it a little bit. I mean, the whole bowl process is interesting because you get like a week off. There's like NCAA rules, like you're not allowed to have like, I think it's like 14 or 21 days like to prepare for the bowl game, so you have to follow those rules. So then after you come back off that week, like, everyone's like pretty fresh. Most guys have been like watching film, doing what they need to do, like get their body right. I think that's just like the biggest part is getting healthy. I mean, like that's a gauntlet. The Big Ten schedule, you got the Big Ten championship. That's like, those all add up. All those hits add up. So if, like, especially for me personally, just like not kicking, just resting the leg is like the biggest thing. And like when you get back, not like turning up to 100 right away, just kind of easing into it. I think we've done a great job with that, with just like the way we've been lifting, the way we've been practicing. It's still high intensity, high focus, but it's like kind of gradual. It's kind of building, like each day is building off each other and just working around the different ways to like maybe we have like meetings, then practice, then meetings instead of like crazy long meetings that we're used to in the beginning. So just kind of working into it, I think, is the biggest thing. And so that once you get to like you're in Pasadena, you're not like, it's like studying early for a test. You don't want like that last like week to just be like crazy, like, all right, we're putting in new stuff. Like, no, like we're just tightening everything down. It's just maintaining what the product that we want for the game.
Yeah. So I'll give you a couple fun questions before we get on our way. I got another serious one, and I got a couple fun ones.
Yeah.
But you're a punter. You also like to golf. What gives you that better feeling, draining a punt, sticking it down, right down within the 5-yard line, or driving a par 4?
Well, I've never driven a par 4, so that's like, I don't know. So I don't know. It's like a hard thing because like when you're by yourself and there's so many bad things. Like, I mean, I'm not the best golfer. I have a great time. Like I shoot like maybe in like the 90s, but like to have those types of crazy shots is just a huge spike of adrenaline. Like, okay, I'm actually like a golfer. It feels great. But I'd say like helping out, dude. I mean, helping out your team, especially like really catching a football like clean. I don't think there's anything like it. I mean, like, you feel it in your hands, like, golf-wise, and it just feels effortless. But, like, that one, it's, like, I mean, for me especially, like, I spend so much time on it, and then you actually just kind of, like, match the two. Because, like, there's so many ways the ball can go wrong. I mean, you've seen, like, same way with, like, you shanking your drive or whatever. Like, there's so many different places where the ball can go. And for you, like, to stick it exactly where you need to, on that type of stage, helping your team win, like, it's not like you play for, like, I play for, like, some, like, small school, and it's, like, there's no one there. Like, no, it's like there's a ton of people there.
People watching you.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure. Just like get the job done, you know, and like a lot of expectation. It's not like all right, just like do your best type of thing.
And when things go wrong, you got people on your back.
Yeah. So just like when everything clicks and everything goes right, there's nothing like it. I mean, just so much excitement. And you see like guys like Aiden Hutchinson like just like screaming and stuff like that. Like you're like, oh, that's just a lame celebration. Like, I don't know, man. When all that stuff clicks, like there's just so much emotion running through. I mean, you just kind of gotta let it out. Like maybe scream or something like that. I mean, that's kind of like what I did. Like I remember in the Maryland one, I was like running from the other side, and I was like screaming, and I was like, wait, hang on, like let's, because I had like a planned celebration. Like I stopped down to do it, and I totally forgot it, and I just started fist bumping and just screaming and stuff. But yeah, it's just unreal.
That's awesome. So let me paint you a picture. Tommy Doman's sitting there about to punt. You're on your own 35. It's 4th and 8. And you take the snap, right side of the field opens wide open. Nobody's guarding you. You take off, man. 22-yard gain.
Yeah.
You give your team the first down. Walk me through the mind of a punter, what's going on there, because we see it sometimes on TV. What's going on when you get to be the guy that delivers in that situation? Yeah,
so the first thing is like kind of jumping off the cliff. Like you decide you're going to run. You know you better make it. And even if you do make it, the coach is still really not going to be that happy at you. You know, like especially in this game, it'd be different. Like maybe that's the first down that helps us get a new drive, score. Like that's the big difference in the game or whatever. But I don't know, it's kind of hard. Like if you see the line, you're like, I know I can go. No one's going to touch me. But it's like you kind of have that invisible wall of like your coaches are going to be really mad at you if you go. So if you just kind of jump off that cliff, start running and deliver, it's just you kind of stay towards your teammates, away from the special teams coordinator. And everyone's going to love you and just think you're just like an actual football player at that point. And just deliver, you're like, man.
A real athlete.
Yeah, like, dude, I play football. Like, let's just say, like, you maybe hit stick someone at the end, and, like, by the sideline, your guys are right there, too. They're, like, picking you up, like, protecting you. Like, that's the deal right there.
That's a good feeling.
Real football. Yeah.
So the last question I got for you, then we'll wrap this thing up, is you're a junior right now. We assume you're going to come back next season and hopefully run it back, do the same thing next season. What do you want your personal legacy to be when you leave this school?
Yeah, I would say similar to like Jake and Brad. There's other guys that I know that are young guys in the league right now. It's just the kicking community being so small, you kind of remember those guys that were like NFL punters on a college team. So I'd say just someone that's just like a weapon for somebody like Tory Taylor, you know, like just a guy that's really helps the team, is like a weapon that's like really put his team in like a great spot to win. Just kind of like noticing a difference. Like, all right, when he goes out there, I feel confident in him. Like similar to like maybe I remember there's like this meme going on. It's like Joe Flacco. It's like there's something about Joe Flacco that I like just confident pocket passer. Like when he went out there, I just trusted him. Just kind of that. Just a reliable guy that was seen as a weapon on special teams.
That's awesome. Well, hey man, thank you for taking the time to sit down with me. I know it's a crazy week, and everybody, thank you for taking the time to tune in and check us out, and follow us at GM Sports 365.